Another chilly morning here in Bryce Canyon National Park. Today going to be hiking the Tower Bridge and Fairyland Loop. For a full trail guide of this hike, you can check the link in the description below. This is going to be starting at the North Campground. You can really start this loop in a number of different points. Fairyland Point when it's open, but in the winter it's not. So the North Campground here or Sunset Point are probably your two best bets. This loop will be about 8 miles long. And yeah, it's definitely less crowded than the other trails in the park from what I've heard. This trail starts like the C and D loops of the campground. So basically you're gonna come in, the road's over there, and go right. Found this little path here, so I'm gonna try this out. Again, you could just start at Sunset Point, but I'm just trying to make this a little more efficient today. Admittedly, this is not the best spot for the sunrise because you don't see all the hodos, but still super pretty up here. Gorgeous. After you cut through the campground, you'll find like a trail like that, which will join you to the rim trail here. You can go left or right. Personally, I'm gonna recommend going right because you go towards the hodos first. So you're walking at them instead of away from them, which is pretty beautiful. After you walk on the rim trail a bit here, you're gonna enter the Fairyland trail and make your way towards Tower Bridge, which, as the sign says, is 1.5 miles away. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this loop is definitely going to see less foot traffic than everybody who's naturing really hard over at the main area. It's still, from what I understand, equally as beautiful, and it's on like, you know, all of the national park papers, so it's not like a hidden gem by any means. When you see pictures of Bryce Canyon, normally they're from over in that area. So I definitely would check that out, and you can watch my other video where I hike through the Navajo, Peekaboo Loop, and Queens Landing Trail, I think. I don't know. It's probably Game of Thrones. I don't know. But yeah, definitely check that out as well. Man, it's nuts. I spent a whole day in Bryce already, but this sandstone over here, these hodos, look totally different. They are really pretty. Even my jaded ass can't get over how beautiful this is. Holy crap. It literally is like fairyland. It's crazy. Soak in these amazing views here. Quick note about this loop. So I went right and started on the two bridges or whatever this trail is called. I went right to start the loop, and it seems like all my elevation is being lost, which means that on the way up, obviously I'll be gaining it. So if that's important to you, you can start vice versa. Someone said, I think you want to be going clockwise to hike this. Honestly, I don't think it matters. It's crazy beautiful either way. I understand that point where you're walking at those hodos instead of away from them, but I mean, they're everywhere. All right, here's the trail junction for Tower Bridge. As the sign says, it's 200 yards this way. Here is Tower Bridge. Obviously, this is the portion that they want you to look at. It's pretty cool, but I also think this little bridge window, probably called, is cool too. What's most impressive is the trees that are growing on top of the sandstone. Insane, but worth the stop. When I see stuff like that bridge growing up in New Hampshire, a very obscure reference for most of you, but there's something called the Old Man on the Mountain. Essentially, it was like our state logo for a while, and this group of rocks on this mountain's face that looked like an old man from a certain angle. When I was growing up, they fell, so now people probably who are younger have no idea what it is besides the pictures. But I wonder when I see stuff like that, in how many years will that be gone? I feel lucky to see it now while it's still here. Back on the trail, and as the sign says, about 4 miles back to Fairyland Point. So if you started there, you're halfway home. In my case, I have about 5-ish miles to go. So a lot of snaking of the trail. So it goes out to this point, then it goes back to that point, and then up there. There's pros and cons to everything in life, but I'd highly recommend visiting Bryce Canyon National Park in the winter. It's just beautiful with the extra layer of color with the white snow, and the temperatures are so easy to deal with just a simple jacket. Way less crowds. I don't know. For me, it's a no-brainer. Man, I'm really trying to keep my videos sharp, quick edits, but Jesus, this place just makes it impossible to not shoot stuff like this. It is so freaking cool. I'm not 100% sure, but my guess would be that Fairy Point is way out there, so still quite a bit of hiking to go. Looks like Pride Rock, whatever that rock is called in The Lion King. Where's Simba? Scratch that. I know there are mountain lions here, so I'm good on Simba, actually. After a kind of medium climb, you had a little bit of walking on the top there, and now it looks like another descent, inevitably followed by another uphill at some point. Working up the final hill here to the rim so I can rejoin the rim trail. It's pretty steep. Seems like best of the Hodo views are behind you too, so it's just kind of like hammering out switchbacks at this point. Back up on the rim trail now, and Fairyland Point is just over that way. So about 2 miles left to go in the hike back to the starting point. Comparing this loop with the ones I did yesterday, Navajo, Peekaboo, and Queens something or other, it was cool, way less people. There's like less towers and tunnels and stuff. There's none of those here, so if you're looking for that, you can check those out in the other video. But overall, a really beautiful hike. The Fairyland loop had about 1,300 feet of elevation gain, and yeah, for gear you can check the links in the description below to help support the channel. But really pretty simple, just a couple layers if you're here in the winter, hat maybe, hiking shoes or really sneakers, and ready to rip. Obviously food and water too, but honestly I didn't have any water or eat anything on this hike. Pretty much back to the car now, so that's gonna wrap up my trail guide here of the Fairyland Loop in Bryce Canyon National Park. To watch more national parks videos, go ahead and check my playlist below. I have tons more in Utah, Zion, Grand Canyon, etc. So go ahead and check that out. If you're new to my channel, I do virtual trail guides of the national parks, Utah hiking tips, and much more. So go ahead and hit that subscribe and bell button not to miss any future hike related content. As always, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you on the next adventure.